Darlene, I imagine your perspective is going to be a little bit different as far as the sheer volume and scale and of different disciplines that BlueStream is going to be looking for. So what are your avenues? How are you going to grow that?
So BlueStream has created a training and certification program in our Marietta location, and we really did that specifically to support the 100+ tower crews that we recruited for and trained in a very short period of time. So we're doing the same things on the gas side, really recruiting from the military primarily. That's been our primary driver, and then working with a variety of universities and working through the internship programs and so forth, particularly from an RF perspective. But we do have that sort of school or training facility already created. We'll add additional capabilities to support sort of the small cell characteristics, and I think we should be in pretty good shape with our plan. So now it's a matter of executing on that plan and getting these folks through the process and training effectively support us and quite honestly potentially many other customers or partners that are looking for that level of expertise.
And is your growth focused primarily in-house or partnerships and outsourced services?
You know what, we will scale in a multitude of ways, so it's a combination of all of those depending on what we can find for talent and the ability to sort of recruit the appropriate talent. But we won't sort of single source or provide a single strategic direction. It'll be a multitude of whether it's in-house or partnerships. We'll do both.
Okay, very good. And just I'm going to kind of throw it out there, Ben, why you can answer this because I do it as a count. Do we have the tools necessary to get to all these new people to set them up for success? Obviously, iBwave is a tremendous tool in the planning process. I understand that, but thinking outside the box, what's that thing that we don't have yet? What's that thing that we haven't thought about that really turns up the efficiency level in our workforce? So anybody that has thoughts, go for it.
The easy button, please. Hey, here it goes.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single tool that provides that capability today. I mean, that would certainly make all of our lives much easier. Certainly from an integrator perspective, having to purchase multiple tools is very expensive, and that's a challenge for all of us, particularly some of the smaller integrators, which the continued sort of complexity and challenges in this space make it just that much more difficult for the smaller integrators, which is unfortunate because they do have regional expertise that many of us, us bigger folks may not necessarily have.
Great. All right, we saved ourselves about 6 or 7 minutes if there's any questions from the audience.
Jean Renato with T-Mobile. So one of the things on small cell pieces is right now currently the equipment that we have is a single carrier solution. So this creates somewhat of a problem in public facilities when they need to allow multi-carrier solutions when utilizing tax dollars on public ground. And they also can't have a service provider generate a profit off of public property. And that causes a problem when there's only a single carrier for the small cell piece. We're seeing an opportunity as equipment evolves, for small cell in particular, to possibly be a multi-carrier capital solution, a capital sharing solution. And that kind of opens up more opportunities as we put businesses together for the cost. But on small cells, a lot of times people forget about the margin aspect of profit on these. They're comparing these to macro development and your profit portion and percentages on macro versus small cell. The small cell is going to be a larger quantity and a smaller profit margin. And that's kind of how the service providers have to look at that in the equipment pieces as you go forward. If you want to deploy a strong amount, the profit margin is going to be a smaller amount. So that's a
one of the things we've observed in the conversation we've had with tier 1 customers and tier 2 is they estimate about a quarter of the time for something like small cell deployments is based on the testing part. And also a portion of it, about 50%, is on the installation aspects. Our focus is to reduce the quarter 25% down to 1%. And our focus is to reduce the installation side of things, especially on the construction aspects, significantly. So for us to answer your question or your point about the margin, we absolutely understand the issue, especially what stated up here earlier about scalability and how do you have to make that effective. And our job and our role is to try to reduce, or is to reduce, those particular pieces so that it becomes more cost effective.
Other questions? We have one here before.
All right, this will be the last question, and just as a housekeeping measure, the exhibit hall is open for the next 3 hours, and after that, lunch is back in here.
And your opinion on small cell as a service?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
The final's opinion on small cell as a service.
I think what we asked was the planner's opinion on small cells as a service.
What do you mean by that service and not
As not necessarily being owned by the operators, but owned by third party
yeah,
and operating it.
that's American Tower Corp in this space. So we're a third party. We work with real estate owners, we work with municipalities to provide wireless service. Whether that service is fed through small cell or fed through gas or is a macro solution, I mean, that's what we do. Yes, that's our core business. And the idea is we develop a solution, whatever flavor solution may be, with a carrier customer, to provide wireless service within a venue, municipality, or a given area. And ideally, that service offering, whether it's a DAS or a small cell, we can host other tenants with it. And that's our business model. Right? That's how we do it. So, hopefully that answers your question. That's exactly what we do.
Especially because of the cost of these cells and the rapidity with which these have to be deployed and so that is a question as to the other aspect as well. But we haven't seen that take off that much for small cells. So
Yeah, I think we talked at the beginning, the tsunami, it was expecting thousands and thousands of these small cells to be deployed nationally. I think it's a combination of understanding what small cell infrastructure is out there, aligning with a carrier's needs. So our example is that a carrier comes to us and says, hey, American Tower, we'd like you to design a solution for building X. We want these 5 different infrastructures, or we want these 5 different spectrum bands, and we want LTE, we want 3G, etc. There may not be a small cell solution that allows us to do all that. And so part of it is, let's understand what the carrier need is, get a laser focus on that, and develop a solution that meets the need. Now, if they want to move with a small cell, we can move with a small cell, but understand that, hey, you may not get 5 different spectrum bands